Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivakachar Sotar Shishimad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananikoti Vaishnava Vindi Ki Jai. Namachar Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sakho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasili Gaura Bhakta Vindi Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhani Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dhami Ki Jai. Navadip Dhami Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vindi Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shishi, Guru, and Gauranga. Somebody turn on this light. Turn the light on. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 12th chapter, verse 43. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vaikana Savala Kil Yao. Dumbara Panapavane. Nase Kuti Chakapurvam. Bhavodo Hamsa Nishkriyao. Vaikanasa Valakil Yao. Dumbara Panapadvane. Nasekuti Chakapurvam. Bhavodo Hamsa Nishkriyao. Vaikanasa Valakil Yao. Dumbara Penapavane. Nasekuti Chakapurvam. Bhavodo Hamsa Nishkriyao. Someone could chant. Machichis? Nobody? Okay. So we're... Okay. Okay, word for word. Vaikanasaha, the section of men who retire from active life and live on half-boiled meals. Vala Kila, one who quits his former stock of grains on receipt of more. Audumbaraha, one who lives on what he gets from the direction towards which he starts after rising from bed. Pinapaha, one who lives on the fruits which automatically fall from the tree. Vane, in the forest. Nase, in the order of renunciation. Kutichakaha, life in family without attachment. Purvam, in the beginning. Bhavodaha, giving up all material activities and engaging fully in the transcendental service. Hamsa, fully engaged in transcendental knowledge. Niskriyau, stopping all kinds of activities. Translation. The four divisions of retired life are Vaikanashas, Vailakilyas, Audumbaras, and Pranapas. The four divisions of the announced order of life are called the Kutichakas, Bhavodas, Hamsas, and Niskriyas. All these were manifested from Brahma. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Varnashram Dharma, or the institution of the four divisions and orders of social and spiritual life, is not a new invention of the modern age, as proposed by the less intelligent. It is an institution established by Brahma from the beginning of the creation. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 4:13. Chatur Vayam Mayab Srishtam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Bastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharne Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Praschatya Deshatarne. So here it is mentioned about Varnashrama, as Krishna states here in the Bhagavad Gita, Chatur Vayam Maya Sristam, which Krishna says, translated as, according to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society were created by me. So these were created by Krishna, so whatever is created by Krishna cannot be destroyed. This is a Varnashram system. So in here, probably in the verse, it's mentioned about the Vanaprastha. Vanaprastha ashram, there's four ashrams, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. So the Vanaprastha is taken up by those in the by the Brahmanas and by the Kshatriyas. The Sudras, they only have one ashram, namely Grihastha. The Vaishyas only have Brahmachari and Grihastha, but the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas, they have also, besides those two, they have the Vanaprastha, and the Brahmanas, they also have Sannyas ashram. So in the Vanaprastha ashram, after family life, one retires from family life and one goes with one's wife to various places of pilgrimage, and then they come back home, and they go out again, and they come back home, and then eventually, depending on the varna, the husband sends his wife back home, such as if he's like a brahmana, sends his wife back home, and then he goes and takes sannyas, and like that, or sometimes both of them, they stay in the forest and they just practice renunciation, depending on the circumstances. Just like Dhritarashtra, he performed. He took Vanaprastha in the forest, and eventually he became Brahman realized, and he meditated in the fiery portion of his body, and then he was able to set his body on fire. And then his wife Gandhari, she went into the fire also. But in this age of Kali, this is not recommended. The very austere situation of former ages is not practical in this age, whether it's performing austerity in the fire, or performing austerity in the forest, or for the wife to enter the fire of her husband. That used to be called also the sati rite. The husband would die and the wife would enter the fire, but that was a voluntary thing. But eventually, as Kali Yuga progressed, the women weren't so much attached to their husbands, and it was artificial for them to go into the fire. So it became kind of like a forced thing. The relatives forced the widow to go in the fire. So this was stopped. And to perform austerities in the forest is very difficult. So Prabhupada mentions that devotees should retire and they should go and live in a temple. And he mentioned they could go to the Krishna Balar Mandir and retire there and just practice Krishna consciousness. So this is Prabhupada's recommendation. So, and as far as sannyas goes, sannyas is there, and but in this age, well, it depends on the circumstances. Again, it's stated in the Shastra that there's 5 things are forbidden in this age of Kali. One is offering flesh to the forefathers, offering a cow or horse in sacrifice, because formerly the Brahmins, they would put cows or horses, an old cow or horse in the sacrifice, and by the power of their mantras, they were able to rejuvenate those animals, and they would come out as young animals. But since they're not able to do that anymore, therefore, it's forbidden to perform such sacrifice in this age of Kali. And another thing, informally, the husband used to begetting a child, and when his beginning a child and when the brother's wife. So this is also forbidden in the age of Kali. This is not possible, and in the age of, therefore, a woman should only have one husband, like that. And in sannyas, it's not recommended either to take sannyas in the age of Kali. And the devotee asked this, Prabhupada, then why are we offering sannyas? And Prabhupada said this refers to Mayavadi sannyas, or like that. So there's different types of sannyasis, those who are focused on just Brahman realization and not Vaishnavas. That kind of sannyas is not recommended in this age. And Prabhupada also says that sannyas is, unless one is very serious and sincere, one should not take sannyas. But if one is advanced, one is serious and sincere, then one must take sannyas. So this is the recommendation. So in this age, or there's various ages. There's Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga, and all of those yugas, Kali Yuga is the most degraded. But if Varnashrama is introduced, then the situation of Satya Yuga could be evoked even in this age of Kali. And Srila Prabhupada mentions this is meant to be done by the Krishna consciousness movement. So what we are doing now is on a small scale. We have so many activities, book distribution, Harinam, Prashadam distribution, deity worship, and also Prabhupada mentions we should, debate and with the atheistic scientists, defeat them in their so-called understanding of knowledge. But he said, so what we're doing now is on a small scale, but if we want to help everyone on a large scale over the world, then we have to give Krishna consciousness as Krishna instructed in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna instructs, as we were reading here, he gave us the 4 varnas and ashrams like that. So we have to introduce this. In this way, people will become happy, but we have to do it perfectly, and it's possible to do this. So by this varnashrama, Srila Prabhupada mentions that we will make counter-propaganda against Maya. But Maya is very strong. She will also make propaganda against you. So unless you are very strong, you will succumb. Daiviyesha gunamayi mama maya daratyaya mameva ye papanyante maya me tantarantite. This divine energy of mine is very difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So if we hold on to Krishna's lotus feet, then we'll be protected. It's not simply a matter of dressing ourselves like devotees. No, we have to actually be devotees. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that look at them, or look at him. He is simply a disciple of Kali. He is dressed like a Vaishnava. He has tilak on his forehead and neck beads, but he's simply doing his bhajan with illicit sex. So there's a class of sahajiyas. They dress like Rupa Goswami with a loincloth, but behind them are 36 women for illicit sex. So this is condemned. We had to, and after Prabhupada said this, it was Bahuvaska, actually, he mentioned to Prabhupada, "Oh Prabhupada, so does this mean we have to strictly follow the principles?" And Prabhupada said, why you were asking this? I've been telling you this for 12,000 years and still you're questioning? So to become Krishna consciousness means, if we're serious, we have to follow these 5 things. No illicit sex, no intoxication, no meeting, no gambling, and chant Hare Krishna. Prabhupada said, I simply request him to do these 5 things. But he says they are so rascal that they're going from one sexual partner to another, to another, to another. So Krishna will not, he will not accept such a pseudo devotee, a fault finder. Maya will come and say, why are you here in this society? Get out. Get out. So this real human society, a real human society means this varnashrama. This is mentioned in the Vishnu Purana, and by it we could achieve the ultimate goal of life. So in this varnashrama there are 4 divisions. There's the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras. The Brahmanas compared to the head, the Kshatriyas to the arms, the Vaishyas to the belly, and the Sudras to the legs. And as Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita, that no matter what one's position, one can attain perfection. He says, by worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all-pervading, man can, by the performance of his own duty, attain perfection. So, no matter what position one is in, no matter what occupational duty as a Brahmana or as a Sudra or as a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. One can attain perfection by engaging in Krishna consciousness. Just like one devotee said, asked Prabhupada, Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita that one who preaches this message of Bhagavad Gita is the most dear. So doesn't that mean that a preacher is the highest like that? And Prabhupada said, if I'm helping the preacher, that is also preaching. If I'm cooking, then that and the devotees take the prasad and they go out and preach, and that I'm also preaching. He said, we are building these temples, spending so much money because it is preaching. And he also gave the example of the railroad department. So many people are engaged in that business. Some are actually driving the train. Some are giving tickets out. Some are working in the office. But they have a logo there that says, of a wheel, saying everyone should make sure that the wheel goes on, keeps on going on. So in this way, everybody's engaging in pushing on the proper situation. So in this varnashrama system, it's the duty of the guru or the teacher to see the psychological movement of a particular student and train him accordingly, according to his position as a brahmana or a vaishya or a sudra or a kshatriya, like that. And in the family is meant to make sure that they maintain their particular spirit of that varna in the family. Just like is mentioned with Dhruva Maharaj, he had the spirit of a kshatriya. Therefore, even though Narada Muni told him that he should simply give up the harsh words of his stepmother and just go back home like that, he could not give up that strong feelings against his stepmother, because he was a kshatriya. So kshatriyas, you insult a kshatriya like that, and he can't forget. He fights, and he has a sense of prestige, so he cannot forget that. So if that's maintained in the family, then the family can advance. Otherwise, if the samskaras or the culture is not maintained in the family, then the family they immediately become sudras. So in the varnashram system, one of the most important aspects, of course the head is a very, very important aspect, but of course an important aspect is the king or the administrative class. So in the administrative class, is to see that everyone is properly engaged in their occupational duty, that the brahmanas are engaged in their occupational duty, and the other kshatriyas are engaged in their occupational duty, the vaishyas, the sudras, and this way things go on very nicely. And the brahmana instructs the king in how to properly rule the kingdom according to the shastras and according to time, place, and circumstance. But presently the situation is that the citizens are being misguided by the so-called leaders, and therefore everything is in a very chaotic condition. The so-called leaders, they're voted upon by low-class people. As it is stated, the people are simply hogs, dogs, camels, and asses, and they vote a bigger hog, dog, camel, or ass. And they get their position, or they get their votes by bribes. And Prabhupada mentions how if there's bribes, and where's the question of democracy? And also in the first canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, he mentions how they get elected by manipulated votes. So in this way, the situation is very chaotic. So this varnashrama is not being done. It's necessary. So we have to do it ourselves. Prabhupada said we have to do it ourselves because nobody else is doing it. Just like in South India, some great devotees became thieves. But is a devotee a thief? But they had to do that because nobody was giving. So they formed a party of plunderers. And the gopis they went to see Krishna in the dead of night, which is considered immoral. But a devotee has to do any nonsense thing for Krishna. This is a position of a devotee. So another point was a devotee brought up was this Lord Chaitanya. He gave just the chanting of Hare Krishna. He just gave the people the chanting. And Srila Prabhupada mentions, yes, the chanting will go on, but who's going to chant like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? They can't even chant 16 rounds. So this chanting will go on, but to make it easier, we have to introduce this Varnashrama. And to become a devotee, to become a Vaishnava, is not so easy. Otherwise, why are so many falling down? Therefore, this Varnashrama has to be introduced in order to make it, in order to become a Vaishnava. So, Prabhupada mentions how, therefore, all our centers have to have a Varnashram college where the training of the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras go on. And that whatever we are doing right now, that should continue. Like one devotee, actually I think it was Vishnu Jana, oh Prabhupada, you tell us about this Varnashrama, so people are so disturbed, they can't accept Krishna consciousness, so just go out and just preach Varnashrama. And Prabhupada said, no, we just have to do this Varnashrama, but you have to go on with everything else. The book distribution, the chanting, everything else is gone, but we have to add also this Varnashrama. So we are in this material world. We're covered over by the illusionary energy, and because of that, it's not possible. We can't independently become Krishna conscious, revive our Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Krishna has given us these 4 Vedas and the Puranas to help us get out of this material world. So in this way, we have innumerable books, and there are innumerable subjects for devotees to discuss among each other. And Srila Prabhupada also mentions how I have to translate all the 18 Puranas and the Mahabharata and the Ramayana and many of the theistic literatures left by the Goswamis. So this is what Prabhupada wanted us. He wanted to do this. So he mentions that I have given you a framework, now you just fill it up and make it a nice building. So we have the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. He has given us a framework, and we have to accept that, and any other little details we could get from the Vedic literature, but we have to make sure that it's based on the foundation of what Prabhupada has given us. So we should engage in these activities and live a life of quality. Prabhupada says, life of quality, not of quantity. Just like the trees, they live for 7,000 years, but their life is just simply full of ignorance. So better have one moment of quality than a whole lifetime of ignorance. So this world is simply full of illusion. It is illusory because because it is a place of forgetfulness of the transcendental service of the Lord. So we have to fight against this illusion by taking up Krishna consciousness. As Srila Prabhupada mentions that taking up Krishna consciousness is like declaring war against the illusionary energy. So we have to declare war against our material mind and our material senses. We have to declare war against a materialistic civilization. We have to fight with them by giving them Krishna consciousness. We can't simply silently accept what the fools and rascals have to say. The fools and rascals, they are simply manufacture their own crazy ideas, and therefore they're simply culprits and criminals. But if we simply tolerate that, then we also become culprits and criminals. So we have to fight. We can't simply sit back and simply chant Hare Krishna, but we have to fight the demons and also become Krishna conscious. So I'll stop there. Any questions on these points? This question? Okay.
Thank you for a nice class, Rabindranatha Prabhu. My question is this: you used the word perfection in the course of your talk. Perfection. And I would like you to define it for us as you mean it, or as Prabhupada means it, so that we know what you mean. Perfection means the most perfect, that you can't get any better, generally speaking. How does that...
Well,
how does that...
perfection means...
Well, I didn't finish. How does that refer in the Krishna consciousness movement? How does it relate? Go ahead.
Perfection in Krishna consciousness means gauging everything in the service of the Lord without any material motives. That's what perfection means. Okay. Yes, Brigapati. It's a Brigapati.
Yeah. Thank you for a nice class. The way I see it, we have Daivi Varnashram right here. You know, you have everybody's a devotee, and everybody's engaged according to their capacity. You have devotees who are instructing, you know, teaching. You have devotees who are administrating. You have devotees who are producing an economy. You have devotees who are assisting other devotees who are doing that. So, what would, I mean, do you see it like that? I mean, do we have to do anything more than what we're already doing to be fulfilling that instruction of Srila Prabhupada of showing an example of Daivi Varnashram? Because I kind of feel like that's what we're doing. That's how I see at least the Krishna conscious movement here in New Dwarka, as an example of Daivi Varnashram.
Yeah, well, like Prabhupada, he mentions more things about the Varnashram College. For example, he says that children at 10 or 12 years old should go to the Varnashram College and be trained according to being a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sutra. So I don't see that happening so much in our society. They may have something in India, but as far as like the United States, I don't see that going on so much locally or even nationally. So that is something that has to be developed. This is a very important aspect of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada mentions in the Srimad Bhagavatam that it's the duty of the leaders of the Krishna conscious movement to see that there are gurukulas all over the world to engage the students in Krishna consciousness. In this way, they will not become spoiled children or hippies. So in this way, we have to have that, and I just don't see that in our society as of yet. Any other questions on these points? Okay, yes.
Hare Krishna Rama, thank you for such a great class. You mentioned a type of sannyasi that is recommended, I believe, something with an M, Mitch something sannyasi. Can you give some more details on that?
Just whatever I said. I just like that, whatever I said.
Thank you.
He's saying, he's talking about Mayavadi sannyasi.
Oh, you're talking about Mayavadi sannyasis?
I believe that. M, I believe it was a M as in Mary.
Anyway, there's different types of sannyasis. There's like Mayavadis, or specifically, I think what Prabhupada is referring to is Brahmavadis. So there's the Brahmavadis and the Maya and the Vaishnavas, basically the two camps. So the Brahmavadi is one who's focusing on Brahman, Krishna's Brahman effulgence, and they just, and that way that's their meditation. So that kind of which Sukadeva Goswami and the four Kumaras attained that type of realization. But that type of sannyas is not recommended in this age, like that. Okay. Any other questions in these points? Yes.
Hare Krishna, amazing class, Prabhu. Thank you. I was just wanting to clarify something about the social orders which can and cannot fit into the spiritual orders of life. You mentioned that like the sannyas ashram can be only occupied by brahmanas, it was my understanding, and the vanaprastha ashram could be occupied by brahmanas and kshatriyas. Can you repeat what the grihastha and brahmachari ashrams, who they can be occupied by?
Okay, so the Sudra has one ashram, grihastra. The Vaishya has two ashrams, the brahmachari and the grihastra. The Kshatriya has three ashrams, brahmachari, grihastra, and vanaprastha, and the sannyas has all four ashrams, which include the brahmana has four ashrams, so it includes sannyas like that. Yeah, but I don't know if I understand your question, but anyway, like the brahmanas, they have four ashrams, so they could go through four ashrams. And actually, some brahmanas could even have two ashrams. Depends. Like some brahmanas could go from the brahmachari ashram to the sannyas ashram, so that's there. But they could go through all the four ashrams, like that. But the sannyasa ashram is only meant for the brahmanas, not for the other castes, like that. Yes, Brigapati?
It means that those ashrams are available to those people, like for instance for the Brahmin. All four ashrams are available and
yeah, they're available,
and required. If he's going to fulfill the duty of a Brahmin, he should go through all four of those ashrams.
No, it's not. Like I said, Prabhupada
or at
said
least,
they're available. They're available for them, but specifically, like a brahmana could go from brahmachari and jump immediately to vanaprastha or sannyas. Prabhupada mentions that in the Bhagavatam. He mentions the connection with this spiritual master who went from brahmachari to sannyas. But they're available for, the brahmanas have four ashrams that are available to them. Kshatriyas 3, Vaishyas 2, and Sudras only 1, like that.
So someone intending to take sannyas, they must be a brahmana first.
Yeah, that to be a brahmana. Therefore, some people say that how can you give sannyas to, sometimes people will criticize Prabhupada in India, why are you giving sannyas to the mlechas and yavanas? And Prabhupada said, because they are brahmanas. They're engaging in these principles. No illicit sex, no intoxication, no mean, no gambling. They're hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's by quality and work, not by birth. That's the main thing. And also, as mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, that in an emergency situation, one could accept a certain varna in an emergency situation. And in this present age, we're in an emergency situation. Yes, Archita Prabhu?
That's why Srila Bhaktisiddhanta introduced this formal thread ceremony. Prabhupada mentions that his Guru Maharaj wanted to make the point that those who are Vaishnavas, and as you said, it's not an easy thing, it's not just a label. You have to actually surrender to Vishnu to be a Vaishnava. So those who are on that platform of surrender to Vishnu, they're actually above Varnashram, but to make the point, he introduced this formal second initiation with a sacred thread. Prior to that, it was not emphasized. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta wanted the public to know that his disciples who were being offered sannyas, even if they came from Malaysia backgrounds or whatever background, they were qualified because they've been made into Brahmanas. And there's that verse that, you know, that the Vaishnava can turn anybody, just like bell metal can be turned into gold by an alchemical process. A qualified guru, meaning Vaishnava, can turn an ordinary person into a devotee of the Lord, into a Brahmana. So that's why he formally introduced this. Before that, it wasn't like that. Like you see, he himself, he just went to his guru. Guru said, okay, you're going to be initiated, you got initiated. But now this formal initiation was introduced by Bhaktisiddhanta so that the public will know that these devotees are now Brahmanas. And regardless of what background they came from, they've been given the sacred thread, they've made vows in front of the fire, they're now Brahmanas.
Okay. Yes, back there.
There is different statement about astrology. Prabhupada don't want it. You know, astrology is not important. But what about couples who want to get married? And is it okay for them to find like a good astrologer they can see if they're compatible, they'll go with one another?
It's combination. Yeah, it's mentioned anyway. There's different considerations to make, and astrology probably mentions different things about astrology. Sometimes this is not necessary. Sometimes he says it's a good thing. You know, so if possible, it's, you know, I would say astrology. You should consult astrology also. But there's other considerations. You know, the good character is important. Like Prabhupada said, that a good wife should be accepted even from an obscure family like that. So it's not simply, well, the chart's good and like that, but they're not so pure or Krishna conscious. That's the main thing. Purity, Krishna consciousness, that's the main consideration. Not, sometimes I see so many people, they emphasize astrology so much, but they don't consider purity or Krishna consciousness, and that's a problem. But if possible, you know, astrology should also be considered.
But astrology means you have to find a real astrologer, which is not easy in Kali Yuga. People think if somebody just went through an astrology course and they know, you know, this house, that house, that. No, to be a real good astrologer, you have to be a devotee, ultimately. Because devotee is always instructed from within by the super soul, and may see something that the technical astrologer may not see. But in regards to astrology and marriage, Prabhupada did say in the third canto, I think it is, that yes, for marriage, a good astrologer can be consulted, but even if the astrology doesn't look favorable, if man and woman are devotees, then the marriage can work.
Yeah, and sometimes it's also Krishna's desire that things won't work out, just like the father of Vena, his marriage or his family life didn't work out, but that was actually a good thing for him, because then he was able to renounce and go back to Godhead. So we should see everything in Krishna's hands, but we should, try our best to do whatever it takes. But astrology's there, and sometimes there's bad astrologers. That's there, but as Prabhupada mentions in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, misuse of a science doesn't mean it's bogus. So sometimes there's nefarious astrologers and they're not really good at what they're doing. Just like anything else, you get a bad doctor, a bad lawyer, so many things. So you just try your best and depend on Krishna, and sometimes it's just your karma to have to suffer. That's all. Okay, anybody else on any of these points? Okay, thank you very much. All glory to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga.